I found this quiet, and I was like, okay, from all my science, I know this part of the brain, this part of the brain, and this part of the brain cause all this noise for people. I was like, wait a minute, this is it. This is the foundation of everything. My name's Elaine. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, research psychologist, substance use counselor. I'm also a freedive instructor, and I'm also known as the underwater therapist. And I have spent the last 5 years or so studying how trauma affects us as freedivers and how can we correlate that or intersect it into the freediving space and in the therapy space. Young Elaine was an Iranian American living with her military family overseas in Germany. Every summer we traveled to Spain, Italy, Turkey, Greece, played in the beach, played in the waves, never really went diving. Of course, I was pretty young. When I was 13, though, we had a pretty significant attack on our neighborhood. And that left imprints in my nervous system that I never really could uncover until I started freediving. And all of a sudden, I'm laying there on the surface and my body is relaxing in a way I didn't think it was capable. And I felt myself in such a different way. And I couldn't make sense of it. I had no idea. This was like the first handful of times I had gone diving. That breath, that release, that final breath, and then filling back up and going down, things started clicking. Taking these dives and feeling myself in a different way and learning how to feel safe in my body was the game changer. What I needed now was the language, the physiological language. I needed the neuroscience. I had to understand what was going on with me because I knew it wasn't just me. But something different happens when we're in the water. It changes our physiology, our chemistry. We're morphosizing into something else. So during COVID, we had access to I say hands down, best diving in the world because there was no tourists here in Hawaii. We could go everywhere. All the animals were out all the time because there wasn't boats and people chasing them. Because I was diving so much, I was able to start seeing parts of my body responding to breath, to relaxation. And it was it was startling in a way. Like, how could me just laying here on the water suddenly start feeling more confident, more connected, more engaged? There was this subtle kind of influence happening because I was breathing better. And so I took a freediving class. And when I took that class, I saw if this was helping me change on such a deeper level, how could I bring this to the people I work with in my therapy practice, first of all? And then could I become a freedive instructor and create a mental health program of some sort? After I got back from my instructor course, I had decided that I was going to listen to my nervous system no matter what she said. And sometimes that meant turning around at 10. But I had to respect. I had to build that integrity and build that relationship with. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, we let our kids explore. We don't let them just go walking across the house amok. We let them kind of feel that out. That's kind of how my nervous system felt. She felt young and like she needed permission to take a turn when she wanted to. But then when the moment came, sorry, you gotta keep going. And the repeat diving and having that support. See, I was really lucky. I had my friend Ray, had Adam Stern was there. I don't know if he remembers, but he was there for this dive. He was one of the safeties. I will never forget this dive. And I had the best breathe up in my whole entire life. And I don't know how. I just built this big pocket of space between me and everything else. And when I got down to the 30 and I made my turn, all of a sudden I was like, what the hell are you doing? Why is this so important? What are you doing down here? And I start coming up, and I had asked Ray to come a little deeper to meet me just a little bit deeper. And I look up, and if you've never been to Deep Week, there's a lot of costumes involved. Okay. I had the Black Power Ranger on this side, and then I had a Captain Underpants over here. There may have been a cow involved somewhere as well. Maybe Lance was there. So I start coming up, and I have these three amazing men around me to give me support if I needed it. And they were right there. And that was so restorative. That was a pivotal moment for me to have that. That was the turning point. And so that first class, I saw the whole universe of all of it, but I didn't know how to get to where we are today. And it started with finding the science behind the nervous system, our ability to connect to others, ourselves, and how does trauma change that? How do we fix that without spending 20 years talking about it? Because talking about it is not always going to help it go away. We already know what happened. We were there. Trauma is when your nervous system is overwhelmed by a particular event and you have a very normal response to you want to get the heck out of there, you want to protect yourself, or it's so overwhelming you shut down. Your body was designed to protect you at all costs, and it has these different protective mechanisms. We see long-term issues with attention, relationships, how we work, how we function, how people sleep. Their health outcomes over time go down. So it gets in the system in so many different ways. And that's why I was so interested in how freediving and the freediving body could be changed, especially if they're a trauma survivor, by this research and this work. And later I learned that play is the biochemical opposite of trauma. And that's why it's just makes it so exciting and delicious and amazing. I created some really strong freedivers here on Oahu, mostly women, by taking that approach with them. And I feel like it's been pretty successful. And I was doing some complex post-traumatic stress or disorder certification courses. And I learned about Polyvagal Theory. I learned about this way that we can learn to understand these three major components of our nervous system. And when I learned how this part of our nervous system up here, the top part of it, it's called the ventral vagus, the top part. Yeah. Social engagement. Also, the cranial nerves that are involved in these processes for diving are involved for our ability to connect with others and find safety. And I was like, wait a second. Hold on. You're telling me these 5 cranial nerves and how we connect and find safety as trauma survivors or people like living with stress are the literal same 5 cranial nerves we need for EQ, holding our breath, and, looking around, moving our jaw, and finding safety in ourselves. I was like, wait a minute. This is it. This is the foundation of everything. It's magical, I think. I mean, it's science, but also it feels magical in the water. When you can take command of your entire nervous system and make 3 shifts and you're like connected to yourself like never before, it's pretty fantastic stuff. So in the therapy space, I started incorporating more breath work and different types of breath work. And I honestly learned the 3-part breath in freediving, and that kind of pushed me to go take a breath coach course so I could understand what was going behind that. So then, you go back to your clients and you're like super excited. Hey, I want to teach you how to do this 3-part breath, because people who have a lot of trauma or anxiety, they're breathing up here all the time. And in diving, we learn we need to breathe through our belly. It's the most efficient, like the diaphragmatic breathing. And so to be able to go back to my therapy clients and say, hey, they're new to session, they've got all their symptoms or trauma tingles, trauma sensitivities, triggers, responses. And I say, we're not talking about any of that yet. We're not even there. We need a couple more weeks. And sometimes people are like really relieved. And I'm like, what we're going to do first, though, is learn how to self-regulate, not relax. Relaxation is the output later of you building integrity and trust with yourself. Self-regulation is learning how to manage your body physiologically. So I teach them how to breathe first. And from there, I teach them how to kind of detect the connection between swallow rate, blink rate, and breath rate. So we call this interoception. We learn how to listen to our, not, everyone might not know that, but we learn how to listen to our nervous system through physiological cues. And if anything, this concept normalizes the playing field. There's no more stigma here. There's no, you have anxiety of depression. You are a human being experiencing stress. And if I can teach you how to manage your blink rate, your swallow rate, your breath rate, you can feel your heart rate now. And now maybe we can get into the rest of your body safely and comfortably. And you can build integrity and a relationship with yourself that you can trust yourself now to do the dive to 30 meters, to 40 meters, or whatever your kick is there, whatever your goal is. Some people it's 12. Now at this stage of my career and where I'm at with like working in the mental health space and freediving spaces, my healing has been so powerful and intense. And it's not always a feel-good feeling. Sometimes healing sucks. Sometimes we get so powerfully relaxed, we don't know what the hell to do with it. And that's okay. You just keep regulating, keep connecting, and breathe your way through it, or get in the water. And these new adaptations are going to start to feel more comfortable. You just got to give it a few more seconds, a couple more breaths, and ease into it. Trauma recovery is about ease. You've already lived the hard parts already. You don't have to anymore.